Welcome to the Old Time Radio Westerns. I'm your host, Andrew Rhynes, and I'm excited to bring you another episode absolutely free. This is one of over 80 episodes released monthly for your enjoyment. Now, let's get into this episode.
Adventures in Research. One of America's first recognized artists, one of its skilled mechanics, and one of its greatest professors all lent their talents to one of the world's most far-reaching inventions, the sound heard round the world. This is Paul Shannon bringing you another transcribed story of science produced as a public service in cooperation with the Westinghouse Research Laboratory. And today telling you the story behind the invention of the telegraph, of the drama, the men, and the heartbreak involved in the sound heard around the world. The classroom of the Albany Academy in 1831 was filled with a murmur of students' voices. The instructor had not yet appeared, and the young men were in heated discussion.
I tell you, you're all wrong. They've been working with it in England for years. Then ask Professor Henry about it when he comes. He'll tell you.
Here comes Dr. Tennant. Class must be ready to start.
I guess so. I wonder what Professor Henry has up his sleeve today.
Doctor, how are you? The professor coming?
Yes, Jason. Should be here any minute. He was up half the night working on an experiment he wants to show the class.
About electricity, I wager.
I won't divulge the professor's secret.
Something to do with the wire strung around?
There's over a mile of it. We were stringing it half the night. But no more will I say now.
What to tell you? Just like what Faraday's doing in England. He wrapped silk around the wire to protect the wire from itself.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, if you'll all take your seats, please. Now, gentlemen, now for the show.
What does Professor Henry aim to do?
I have no more idea than you have.
Now, you must forgive my little show, gentlemen. It would seem I have not quite gotten over being president of the Albany Dramatic Club. Now, hand me that bag there, if you will, Carter. Thank you. Now, here we have a little bell mounted on a stand. I'll put it over here on the window.
That's where the wire starts and ends.
We strung over a mile of that wire around the room.
Now, here is a pivot, also set on a stand, and perfectly balanced on the pivot is this bar of steel, 10 inches long. Very well now. Now, here we have a horseshoe magnet with hundreds of turns of fine wire wound around each branch. So I'll connect these to the wire you see strung around the room. Now, we'll carefully set the magnet so that the end of the bar comes between its two poles.
See the pairs of batteries he has at the back of the room?
Now, I've already snipped the wire running around the room and have attached one end of it to the battery of 24 cells, which you see back there. Jason, if you'll please connect the wire at this end when I tell you. Now, gentlemen, before we do this, you probably want to know just what I'm up to. Now, you remember my lectures on quantity and intensity magnets. Now, you've seen our quantity magnets lift more than 700 pounds. You remember that these magnets are made of many short pieces of wire wound over one another around a soft iron core. These we connected in parallel to a single cell made of a pair of copper and zinc plates in acid. And you were surprised by the tremendous weights this quantity magnet attached to this quantity battery could lift.
But, Professor Henry, we tried putting the magnets in a long circuit, and the power left them.
Yes.
The electricity couldn't travel very far.
Exactly. The electricity could not travel far. At least, that's what has put an end to all attempts thus far to invent a telegraph. A man named Peter Barlow wrote a few years ago an article in which he proved the telegraph was impossible. It's difficult to prove anything is impossible. After you've proved an impossibility, someone always seems to come along and do the impossible thing. Now, you gentlemen were not here when I first lectured on the possibility of Mr. Barlow's impossibility, so I will repeat. If you wind a long, single wire around the iron rather than a short wire, if you make hundreds of turns with that one long insulated wire, you will have what I call an intensity magnet. If you then make a battery of many pairs of zinc and copper plates instead of one pair, you then have an intensity battery. Now, by connecting them, the power will be the same over a long distance as over a foot or two. It won't lift as heavy a weight as the other, but it will lift the same weight a mile away as a foot away. Now, there is more than a mile of wire hung around this room. Here in the window is our intensity magnet and a steel bar and a bell. The magnet is in the circuit with that intensity battery over where Mr. Jason is standing. Jason, will you now touch the other wire to the battery?
It's magic. Look, it's amazing.
No, Carter, it's not magic. It's electromagnetism.
But it is a telegraph, sir. You have invented it.
It would be an easy affair to arrange a code of signals, but that is not my affair. I am not an inventor. I am a teacher of natural philosophy. Someone undoubtedly will invent a telegraph. And when he does, and you gentlemen see it, you will recall that you heard a signal from an electromagnet in Albany Academy in 1831.
6 years later, in New York City, Professor Leonard Gale was conducting an investigation of batteries. The University of the City of New York had encouraged him, and learning of Henry's astonishing experiments, Gale was working hard when he had a visitor, the university's professor of fine arts, Samuel Morse.
Oh, Morse. You startled me. Come in. Close the door. What's the matter, Samuel? You look starved and cold.
Hunger means nothing. There are more important things. You're the only man who can help me. I need advice.
I know nothing about painting, Samuel.
Painting bosh. This is my secret. I have invented a telegraph.
Morse showed his invention to Gale. It was the works of an old clock, a long, free pendulum ending in a pencil, a roll of paper, and horseshoe magnet. The pendulum moved, the clockwork moved, the roll of paper moved. The pencil traced a wavy line on the paper.
What do you think?
Well, a most promising concept. This roll of paper, that's a new idea, isn't it?
It's all you. All mine.
Samuel, you mean you don't know?
Huh?
Franklin, Laplace, Ampere, Schilling, Barlow, Henry? Why, they've all tried similar experiments. You mean you haven't read? You don't know?
It cannot be true.
I didn't mean to offend you, Samuel. The work of these men detracts nothing. No one can possess a dream alone. No inventor ever invented the whole of anything. You have the mind of an artist, Samuel. It's wholly unscientific. The scientific mind studies every experiment on record. You're using an old magnet, no insulation. But you have something here. Study, read, and finish it. And get a mechanic, a man who can make a workmanlike finished machine. And study.
Morse found an assistant, a man named Alfred Vail, who was very enthusiastic about the telegraph. With his help, the telegraph began to take shape. But there were problems. And so, after much work and improvement, Morse and Professor Leonard Gale one day sought the advice of Professor Henry.
We seem to have troubled you a great deal, Professor.
Nonsense. That's what I'm here for, to share such knowledge as I might have. And, Mr. Morse, I congratulate you. I understand Congress has given you an appropriation.
We have not won yet, Mr. Henry. Congress gave us $30,000. We've spent all but $7,000 on our underground wires. Now they've lost their power in the mud. The insulation hasn't held.
Oh, yes. I was afraid of that. Perhaps if you strung the wire overhead...
We thought of overhead wires, but Alfred Vail, my assistant, thought they would be too dangerous. The wires might come together in the wind.
Not wires, Mr. Morse. One wire. Sink the ends deep in the earth. The circuit would be made by the ground. The earth, you see.
fluid will flow through the ground? You discovered this?
No. No, it was made in Germany by Steinheil. It isn't patented. You're at liberty to use it. An inventor must borrow such things, whoever discovers them.
That's the answer, Morse. No more digging.
If it works.
It cannot help working.
If it does work, Professor, we will be very indebted to you.
Forgive me, Professor. You must know of my deep respect, my veneration for you. I've realized the great importance of your discoveries to the telegraph.
Oh, come, Morse. We must get back to work. Let us see if Henry's idea works.
Vail and Morse had made many changes in their telegraph. A pen had replaced the pencil that wrote, and the first code was a number that stood for an entire word. Soon they changed it to mere dots and dashes, which stood for letters and were written on the paper. Then they replaced the pen with a stylus that indented the paper. Vail became so apt at reading them that he could read the message merely by hearing the clicks. Then Vail had a further idea.
How would it be to make a machine without any paper rolls, but with a hollow metal for the stylus to hit so the click would be louder? A sounder instead of a recorder.
Finally, too, Vail persuaded Morse to do away with the cumbersome sender with its circuit-breaking line of type. Now, beside the recorder on the table was a neat key of steel spring. You pressed it to make the contact, and then released it. And finally, the fateful day arrived. Samuel Morse, at the Supreme Court at Washington, would use Vail's key. As Vail stood waiting for the message, he probably recalled other changes he had instituted. The type was gone with the roller to move it. The wavy line was now a succession of dots and dashes. The horseshoe magnet was gone, and there was a neat spool instead. And as he awaited the important message, several distinguished citizens entered the Montclair Railroad Station at Baltimore.
If that message comes through from Washington, we want to see it.
Want my boy to see it.
Is that it, that little thing on the table?
It won't explode or nothing, will it?
Quiet, please. That's the signal. The message will now come from Washington. W H A T.
What happened? Breakdown?
Didn't think it would work of all the...
H A T H.
What? Hat. What? Say, it's
G
pretty good, all right.
O D W R O U G H T. What hath God wrought?
It's a miracle. I've never seen
Franklin, Sturgeon, Henry, Steinheil, Alfred Vail, and Samuel Morse. It was many men that made the telegraph possible. From the first man that found the strange phenomenon, electricity, to the professor of fine arts, Samuel Morse. With their combined knowledge and effort, and success and heartbreak, came the telegraph, the sound heard round the world. And that's today's Adventure in Research, produced in cooperation with the Westinghouse Research Laboratories. These programs are broadcast to Armed Forces personnel overseas through the facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Join us again next week for another transcribed story of science on Adventures in Research.
This has been a presentation of OTRWesterns.com, and we hope you enjoyed. Please take some time to like and rate this episode within your favorite podcast application. Follow us on Facebook by going to otrwesterns.com/Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel by going to otrwesterns.com/YouTube. Become one of our ranch hands and unlock some exclusive content. We want to thank our most recent ranch hands, Steve and TechnoGod, who joined us recently. You too can join by going to otrwesterns.com/donate. Send us an email, podcast@otrwesterns.com, and you can call and leave us a voicemail, 707-986-8739. This episode is copyrighted under the attribution non-commercial share-alike copyright. For more information, go to otrwesterns.com/copyright. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.